go in the hole. Over there, miss the tree. Stop. Sit, boo-boo. Sit. Don't. Why doesn't the ball listen to me? My dog, when I say sit, it sits. My wife, I ask her, can you please make dinner? She makes dinner. But the ball just doesn't listen. That is the paradox and the conundrum that is golf. Hi, my name is Derrick Allen. I'm the golf pro at Rancho Park Golf Course in Los Angeles. I've given over 100,000 golf lessons over the course of a 32-year career at Rancho Park. I've had the privilege of teaching people from all walks of life, doctors, lawyers, nuclear physicists. I teach 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds how to hit a golf club. That's a lot of work. But it's allowed me to get a clear understanding of how people communicate in different ways. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, basically. How do people give off subtle clues or communicate to you how they want to learn or what they want to learn? And that's what we're here today. I hope to cover 5 areas: trust, empathy, listening, all valuable clues into how people communicate. Very valuable. At Rancho Park, we get people from all walks of life. But I remember starting at Rancho Park, I had to do an apprentice by watching the other teachers, the other pros, and basically learning their style, how they communicated. And so me coming from Michigan to LA, I wasn't prepared for the different communication styles or even how to directly communicate to my Beverly Hills clients. And so it became an interesting experience in learning people on a fast track, learning how people think, learning how they play, because they come to golf for leisure, they think. So I'm going to share some of that insight with you. So my first week of teaching golf at Rancho Park, I wanted to vomit. And I ended up vomiting every single day for 2 weeks. And I couldn't figure out why I was vomiting. And I thought it was my cologne or any number of things, right? But what I figured out is that, wait, maybe I'm not communicating to them the right way. Or maybe I'm trying too hard. I said, don't they understand English? You know, you go, hey, mama, can't you get that hip around there? No. But it became an interesting play because I thought I would never last. And so I started to think, okay, so I'm going to learn from the other pros how to communicate. And they're going to teach me something, okay? And that's really when the fun began, okay? But, you know, in my later years, I'm going to share some insight into you. I started to think, why was I having so many problems communicating with people in general? And so one is that golf is negative by nature. It sets you up for failure. There's a 97% failure rate in golf, meaning that every time you pick up the golf club and you try to hit it into the ball, it's a 97% failure rate. So how can you teach someone to fail? It's impossible. All you can do is say, that was a great shot, Miss Johnson. I'll see you next week. Thank you, Derrick. You're just God's gift to teaching. And I'll say, okay, see you next week, Miss Johnson. And then I was scratching my head. Man, she hit that ball left or right and just had a great time. So it's a failure rate that's impossible to accomplish. Well, golf by nature is negative, right? What's the objective of golf? And the first shot of every hole. Anyone know? What's the objective? Put the ball in the hole. That means a hole in one, right? Literally, a hole in one. Whether the hole is 100 yards or 300 or 500 yards. So we make excuses by, let's make it a par 4. Let's make it a par 5. We make it longer, and we add strokes to it, so that gives us a little latitude to fail. Okay? So I realized early on in golf that I had to teach how to be successful at failure. Now it really gets interesting. How do you teach people to be successful at failure? I go like, So I started teaching people that, hey, you're really not here for that 3% of perfect shots because you're wasting your time. How do you manage the negative and turn it into a positive? There's more value in the negative because there's more of it. There's only 3% success, 97% negative. So I started to teach them, I'm going to teach you how to turn that negative into a positive in my own little ways. But first I had to get through my teachers. And my teachers became varied, the teachers at Rancho, and also a lot of the several celebrity clients that would come to Rancho. And so this is a stat that may add value to what I just said. 27 million Americans play golf, but only 11% take lessons. Jesus. I started thinking about that. You know, I've been teaching for 30 years, and I learned this like a month ago. Because I assumed that everyone, had a lesson or something like that. 11%. You know what? That's like going into let me be nice. That's like opening up the hospital doors for self-serve. Angel comes in, I got a broken leg and need heart surgery. Go to lab 1, just help yourself. Okay. That's basically what it's like. People playing golf without golf lessons. There's self-serve psychiatry. I'm going, no wonder everyone that comes to me, I'm going like, are you in the right place? But it's kind of interesting, right? So I have a little test for you guys. So as we go along, what I'm going to do is I have a little test for you guys and see if you can figure it out, okay? What I'm doing. So I'm going to demonstrate to you the psychology of golf. So what I'm going to do is every student that comes to me, I don't care who they are, I do this little psychological drill. And I'm going to give you a taste of it. Now, I'm going to do it in 2 different directions. I'm going to do it in this direction forward, and I'm going to do it sideways to give you 2 perspectives. My clients only get 1 perspective. And then I have to do all the hard work. So, I put down 1 task, correct? Let me see here. My name's not Picasso, so please don't judge me. That's a good-looking square, huh? Amazing. So, now, this 27 million and 11% sets us up. Here comes the communicators. How do they communicate? Is this communication? Does anyone have an answer? Is that communication? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Do you know who's terrified of this when I put the bucket here? The doctors and lawyers. They're just like, does that need to be there, Derrick? I said, yeah. They're like, Jesus. They're looking at the bucket. But that has a good purpose, and I'll explain it. So let me explain my communicators. First person is Al. Okay, so I come to Los Angeles. I'm trying to look for communicators to teach me how to teach. Al was an instructor at Rancho Park. Every time I would walk past Al's his stall, a ball would ricochet off the headboard or the facilities. Now, picture this. Our golf driving range has 2 stalls, almost like cow troughs, and they have angles of iron. So if a person misses a shot, it bounces off the trough and it goes up into the ceiling, and it ricochets. So I vividly remember Al. I'm walking past Al's stall, and he goes, "Jesus, did you see it? Did you see that?" And I go, "Whoa, what, Al?" He goes, "Someone's going to get killed here." Al, that was Al. Bless his heart, he was a Vietnam veteran, so he saw a lot of action. But the driving range just really spent him. And I'm going like, wow. Al was a successful communicator. Because as soon as he'd go, man, and he'd just be glossy-eyed. And he'd look at it, someone's going to get killed here. Why don't you take your right elbow and put it in there? And I said, wow, that's just gone here to here right away. So Al was one of the teachers. He had a lot of lessons. Earl, Mr. Earl. Earl was one of the teachers at Rancho. And just to give you a little background information, Earl, we had 11 instructors at Rancho Park. Everyone gave at least 80 to 90 lessons every 2 weeks. Earl. Why did I put Earl up there? Earl was old school, Motown. Earl played music when he gave his golf lesson. Now, I'm not sure if you know golf, but golf is As a kid, I remember flipping the channel with my brothers and sisters, and on a Sunday morning, and we're sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden you hear all this noise, and then when I flipped the golf, it was like, oh, Jesus. we switched the channel very quickly. Later on, my brothers and sisters had to watch golf, but I wasn't introduced to golf at this time, so we just flipped past it. But they were communicating silence, but yet Earl played music while he gave a golf lesson. Amazing. So I'm going like, should I play some music? Is that going to help me? Earl was a pretty busy instructor also. Okay, Ed. Ed Coleman was an actual World War II veteran. A D-Day. Ed would do a lesson. He would put a ball up to a student and he'd say, hit it. Then he would give him a stat. Earl was a statistician. He knew who won the World Series in 1924, who hit a home run in the third game in the 8th inning. He was that sharp at 98. So Ed didn't necessarily teach golf, but he was a good communicator. Okay, John. Ooh, John. John was dapper. He dressed that way at the golf course. So when I came to LA, I had a jerry curl. I'm not sure you know what a jerry curl. I had a jerry curl, long hair. And so, was that part of my communication problem? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say. But John, I go like, that's a word. So if you look at me now, you see some of John's attributes. Okay? So, John was dapper. I didn't look that good, though, at the golf course. I could never wear a tie, and I could never wear a hat like that. But John was the man. John, and he hit all the older ladies. They were piled up in John's style. John was major big. Okay, so, Steve. Okay. Before I get to Steve, let me do another test for you guys. Okay. Remember, I'm communicating a way to focus, but yet I'm not doing verbal commands. I'm directing my students. So, let me see if I do it here. And I'll tell you what these mean as we go along, or you can make a guess. And I'll put one here. Now remember, everyone that comes to my stall gets this psychological evaluation, basically. Okay, I'll put a ball there. Interesting. So at the moment I put the ball there, another square. Good. So it's like 2 steps. Okay, Steve. Now, Steve, see the first picture here? If you can see it? Where he has Steve standing with his back to the stall, and he has two students, right? Well, they didn't see me take that picture. I walked past them at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I go, Jesus. This picture right here was taken at 8:45. So basically, Steve, this is a golf lesson. So basically, Steve was meditating with the girls. That was Steve's style. He'd meditate for 25, hit 2 balls, and say, see you next week. And I'm going like, Jesus, I had to take those pictures. So Steve, and here gives you a little view of Rancho Park. I used to teach, let's say I taught here, Steve would teach there. I would look into Steve's students' eyes, and they were like, as glossy as seeing through you, it's glass. So Steve was communicating in a certain way. And those girls would hit 3 or 4 balls, and that was the lesson. Who was the busiest instructor at Rancho Park? Steve. He communicated in a way that his students understood, even though they only hit 3 balls. And we would we would be in the pro shop and we would look at each other. How does he do it? He just, we'd be flummoxed. Because I tried to get my students to hit as many balls as they could. So, we call him the guru. Oh, who's that guy? That's when I had more hair. So when I came to Rancho and I started teaching, I said, okay, now I've sampled all the golf pros. I'm going to teach, right? Guess what I lost right away? I lost all the hair, and I lost the jerry curl. Guess what happened to my student roster? Pew, 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 pew. Got a little dapper like John. Got a little. I was animated like Al, but not as much animated, right? And guess the type of students I got. I got all the young people, all the secretaries that wanted a fun young instructor. So I had a blast. But I changed the way I communicated and how I dressed and how I performed. And that's what makes golf so interesting. Okay. See you. Okay. That guy had it going. So but just don't call it golf. I found it's not really about golf. And I'll get more into that as we go along. So I'm going to put another square first. And put another square. Let's call that there. Awesome. Okay. And let's put another ball here. So this goes straight back. This ball goes here. And this ball we're going to say go here. Okay. It's getting interesting. Can anyone figure out what I'm doing? Not yet? Okay. So just don't call it golf. Basically, it's more than golf. People come to me with not necessarily golf problems, but communication problems. They want to communicate to me something, and I have to figure it out. And so I have to read their signals to understand what that is. And a lot of times, it's not about golf. The majority of the time, it's not about golf. I got a couple stories about just don't call it golf. One quick one. During the wintertime, I would make phone calls to clients that had lessons remaining on any package deal they had. I would call 10 or 15 people. It was the most exhausting cold calls I've ever had in my life. Because they poured out to me basically their lives. Oh yeah, Derrick, we haven't been there in a while. We've been doing this, we've been doing that. I stopped after one call. I stopped 1 year. I did it for a long time, and I knew it was very taxing on me mentally. But I called one lady, and she starts crying on the phone. She just starts crying. And I say, hey, I'm here calling for Dr. Smith. He has a couple lessons remaining. Can he help me? Can he come in for his golf lessons, his remaining golf lessons? She goes, she just breaks down in tears, starts crying. And I go, why are you crying? She said, Dr. Smith died a month ago. I said, oh, Jesus. I go, I didn't even know that. A very young doctor. And I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know how to communicate to her my empathy, how I felt, and how sorry I was that had happened. So basically I said, don't worry about it, and I hung up because it was that powerful. So I stopped calling. Just didn't call anymore. So I stopped calling it golf. So talk about communicators. This guy. Okay, I'm going to do another square. So this is getting interesting, at least for me, because you guys are probably saying, what the heck is he doing? Okay, so he said, I don't know what he's talking about. You know, this is a short one, so I'm going to put it back here. So basically, we're getting to the end here. So be patient. Smaller and smaller. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, just a couple more. Okay, one of the communicators that I really learned from was Bill Clinton. I had the privilege of playing with President Clinton. He came to Rancho Park. The White House called and said they needed a golf pro, so they picked me. So I found myself on the first tee with President Clinton, Roger Clinton, Mayor Reardon, and Alan Greenspan. So I was in the fishbowl. Imagine being in the fishbowl now. That's like the toilet, but no. I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there. Fishbowl. Fishbowl is a fishbowl. But the fishbowl is an amazing place. Has anyone ever been in the fishbowl? Do you know they call it the fishbowl? No, you never heard of the terminology? Whenever you're with the president, they call it the fishbowl. And they call it the fishbowl because everyone's looking in, basically. And you're under a microscope. And playing with President Clinton was an amazing experience. The great communicator taught me how to communicate. I watched as he canvassed the crowd. People were handing babies over the fence to take pictures with them. They're going like, Derrick! I go, having a little presidential wave. I think it's like this. Presidential golf pro. Yeah, so it was kind of interesting. It was amazing. So the White House photographer, unbeknownst to me, was snapping pictures. And the White House later sent those to me. And what I just talked to him about is that, hey, how much of an inspiration he was to me. And how his presidency, he came from the bottom up, really, trailer park. And he taught me how to disarm people, basically. So basically, that disarming I took from him right away. So for my celebrity clients, the value they've given to me is more valuable than I gave to them in teaching them how to hit the golf ball. And that's because they taught me little snippets of how to communicate and how to read people and how to disarm them. And that's what I had to do on a major scale. Like I said, Beverly Hills, and, you know, some characters running through there that are high maintenance. And so that was an amazing experience. If you look back here, there's a SWAT team right back there in the back there. Jesus. And Secret Service agents spaced 20 yards apart on both sides, 2 SWAT teams. I'm not even sure how I got that close. I may have saw a couple of dots on me, but I didn't even. I said, "Hey, go down, go down big." So that was amazing. Playing with the president. If anyone gets an invite, don't turn it down, even if it's that guy. I would say take it for the experience, and that's why you still see people playing with them because hey, nothing's like playing with the president. Morgan Freeman. Morgan is an amazing guy. Because he's down to earth. He's very personable. He taught me that humility. Because basically we're on the golf course and people are just, Mr. Freeman, and they're coming up talking to me. He just handled it with such grace at all times. And so he also taught me how to act. And so how he taught me how to act is that I was giving him a lesson, and he said, "Why don't you say it this way?" And I go like, "Jesus, okay, wait, no, you do it this way, Mr. Freeman." And he goes, and we start arguing. And so his agent was next to us, and he looks over and says, "Hey, Derrick." He said, "Hey, Morgan, will you let the man teach?" And I go, "Hey, Mr. Freeman." I go, "Yeah, let me teach." He said, "I'm just asking him a question. Can I ask him a question?" And I go, "Mr. Freeman, watch. Morgan, watch." And so he says, "Okay." So I go, "Okay, watch." And I go, "Where you want to go, ma'am?" I said, "Can I act?" He says, "Oh." So he said, "Okay, show me. You can't act." So it's kind of a funny moment. And so, but he has a type of personality where I can joke with him about that, and we can. And like I said, I learned a lot from Morgan. Cheryl Underwood, she's on The View, host on The View. Yeah, we used to go on the golf course. I would take her on the golf course. She'd wear a wig every week, different wig. And she always, I just remember this, she already get ready to hit. And I say, "You better hang on to that stuff because it's gonna fly." And she'll go, "Yeah, you're right." So she'd grab her wig and just hold on tight, right? And fly, let the ball fly. She said, "I'm gonna use that on my," so she was learning stuff we were communicating, and I was communicating on her level. And it was some fun times. She was just joking. I remember, I said, "If you use that, I'm gonna get some residuals." And we would just joke all over the course. So some funny stuff. I think that's a wig. Okay. So David Duchovny. Mulder. He's looking at me, and I said, "Do this." I said, "David, just do it like that." He goes like, "Do you see that light behind you?" I said, "Oh, Jesus." Okay. So Smokey Robinson. Smokey's amazing. Smokey taught me that, and I still do this when I meet people, I hug them. Smokey, even in the Me Too movement, I hug her husband. If I hug a student, I'll hug her and then hug her husband too, just to make it equal, right? Then hug her husband. Husband look at me like, "Why is he hugging me?" Smokey used to hug you and calls everyone baby. "Hey, baby." That's Smokey. Every time now when I look at Smokey, I go, "Hey, Smokey, what's happening?" You know why? His eyes. Don't look in his eyes. Jesus. I tell the guys, don't look in his eyes. Because you're going to mill say, "Oh, Smokey. Oh, Jesus, what am I doing?" No, his eyes are amazing in person. You just melt. So every time I greet him, I say, "Hey, Derrick." I say, "Hey, Smokey, what's up?" Cover my eyes. Because it's amazing, even for women, just amazing. Amazing guy. Steve Harvey. All I can say is, "Hey, this is really big in person." I'm giving him a lesson, and I'm going like, he said, "What am I doing?" I said, "Well, Mr. Harvey, you need to," his head was that big. I said, "Wow, that dude got a big head." Okay. Said, "This dude got his big." Doc Rivers. You guys know who he coaches for now? Clippers. Before I get to Doc, I'm going to draw one more square, and then I'm going to show you guys some action. Okay? You know what? I think you guys came for some golf. I'm just going to show you a little. So basically, what I'm going to do is I tell my students, I'm going to take the club straight back. That's what that is for. I can't go this way, but I go straight back. The ball's going to drop, and it's going to go into the hole. Typically, I would have them hit into the bucket. But, now let's see. I'd rather the balls not fly all over the place, but, but I'm going to try it. Drop, drop, drop. And that's a reoccurring theme in communication. Is it to hit or is it to drop? That is the question. And it's really, does anyone play golf? Oh, yeah? Yeah? What's your handicap?
19.
Oh, Jesus, okay. Got my card.
I have had one.
I'm gonna get, well, you still need my card then. It's a 19. I don't know why Barry put up his hand. Barry, you need some more lessons, Barry. So don't call yourself a golfer, Jesus. So watch, drop. Ooh, amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna go this way. Again, when you chip, you go straight back. And the purpose of this ball is not to go inside. So you want to make sure you go straight back. And again, all you're thinking is drop. Ah, not bad. Missed it. That's why I'm up here and not out on tour. Okay, so let's do one more. Okay, so is this getting interesting? Okay. Okay. We're almost to the end there. Let's continue. Doc Rivers. I had a conversation with Doc Rivers. Guess what about? Communication. We weren't talking about basketball. We were talking about communication. So Doc is sitting next to me. And he says, and I go, hey, Doc, weren't you supposed to call me so I can come and give the Clippers a little golf seminar? He said, yeah, but I ran out of here last season and I didn't get a chance to talk to you. He goes, I go, yeah, just give me a couple hours with the guys and I'll show them how to focus. And also how to communicate to each other better on the court. And also show you how to communicate better to the players. And I said, because, golf is complex problem solving. So it shows you a difficult problem, but it's rather easy if you're technically sound. That's it. Not being an expert, just technically sound, and you can accomplish big things. So Doc says, he goes, you know what? You're right, because we bring psychologists to the court, to the players, and they're saying the same thing you're saying. You're just saying it in a different way, but with golf. And so he used an analogy and gave me an example. When he was the golf coach, when he was the basketball coach for the Boston Celtics, he sent Rajon Rondo, their top point guard. He was having problems. He was having problems communicating with them. So he sent them down to the minors and said, hey, if you're not going to listen to me, you go see it from my perspective. And Doc Rivers said to me that I sent him down to the minors to coach the D-League team and to see what it was like to coach and what type of responses you were going to get from your players, communication. And he said, he came back and he said, just what you're saying, Derrick. He saw the light. He understood my perspective. And he said, wow, coach, man, those guys were stupid. He said, I understand what you're saying. He said, man, you got something. And he took off. I said, wait, give me your number. And so I'm still chasing them. But I'll get them. Their offices are right down by my office, so I'll show up at the front door. But it just shows you that that communication has different value points. Okay, so Kevin Ollie. Kevin Ollie came to the golf course, and he's an amazing guy. Kevin, I'm not sure if you know Kevin Ollie, but he played for the Sixers, and he coached UConn to the national championship 3 years ago. So amazing guy. Kevin wants me to come to Connecticut to teach the same communication skills to the kids at the local Boys and Girls Club. And I'll probably do that. I do that, I go all over the country through my foundation, and I give golf outreach programs to kids that wouldn't necessarily be exposed to golf. Pro bono, free of charge. It's an amazing experience. I also teach them music when I teach them golf. So I add a educational component: music, chess, drums, piano. I bring in a piano teacher, and they'll do chipping, putting, piano. It's an amazing experience. It's an amazing experience. Okay, so Scottie Pippen. The only thing I can say about Scottie Pippen is no tipping Pippen. Okay. I don't need to explain that, right? Just don't call it golf. Again, just with the foundation I showed you, is that music is a form of communication. Chipping, putting is a form of communication. So basically, when I teach kids golf, I add one of those communicative modules that help them expand who they are and how they can verbally communicate. It's an amazing thing. Okay, this is the second pill. I don't know, you know who that guy is? That's Alan Greenspan back there, photobombing my shot. I go, boy. Okay, on the golf course, myself, me and the president, we kept it light. Someone asked me, did you ask him about Monica Lewinsky? I said, Jesus. I said, you know how many SWAT team members were out there? I mean, come on. Get it real, you know. Okay, so trust is one of the attributes on the golf course. When people come to me, they want me to communicate trust, and want me to communicate trust right away. So, I want to take just a 30-second break to ask the audience, do they understand what this is for? Any guess? Come on, it's complex problem solving. I know you guys are getting tired, just sleepy. I got one more line here. Okay, so I'm gonna cheat for you guys. There's a word that goes in here. Does anyone know what that word is? Close. Pardon me? Focus. Jesus. Give that guy a free golf lesson. Focus. And I'll show you. So now, is that more difficult or easier? More difficult? No, it's easier. Because the brain says it's difficult. But to be more efficient makes it easy. And that's it. So basically, for me to get my students to go over that second bucket, is just to increase their efficiency. That's it. So I have to communicate that to them, that they don't have to do anything harder. They're just going to be more efficient. And what that is, again, following the rules here and allowing the club to hit or drop. So if it drops, ooh, that didn't go as I planned. So let's go. Hey, does everything go as planned? No. So let's try it again. Still got to follow my rules and drop. Again, excellent. So watch this. So I'll do it again. I'll do it from a different direction. And the reason I'm doing it from two different directions, you're probably saying, this guy is a phony. He can't even hit it over the bucket. And but yet, yes, watch this. And drop. Nice. Thank you. Kept trying. That's another lesson. Never give up. Plus, when you're so trust. And one of my goals is to communicate trust to my 4-year-olds, 15, 20, 30-year-olds. It's very important. How do you get focused? You don't even play golf. Right? It's focus.
I played with a guy with one arm and lost.
Oh, jeez. Okay, you need a card and 2 free lessons. Okay, it's focus. So basically, when I started, there was a blank canvas. And my goal was to make that canvas come to life. And that's what I did. So when my students first come to me, they're like this. And I go, no. And I go, no. I go, no, 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 no. And I squeeze them into just this little box. Now I have them under my control. And I do that by communicating to them. You can't think this way. You can't think this. Can I go this? No, no. And they want to move the bucket. I say no. And we move forward that way. Now I can actually communicate to them, and they're more receptive to what I'm saying. And so learning how to communicate and box whoever you're talking to, husband, child, coworker, boss, box them in. Why do guys spend a lot of time on the golf course with each other? Is to get to know them. And also, what's the adage? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Get those little junior executives right next to the cart with you. So if they start looking at your seat in the cart, the next seat is the board seat, right? You say, hey, can I drive? You're out of here. Okay. So, and I kind of hit onto that, listening. And I have to communicate to hit or to drop. Because does it look like I'm hitting or does it look like I'm dropping? It's hitting, huh? But it's actually dropping. If you think of a pendulum drops. It doesn't hit. And that's the difference in golf. You always drop, not hit. That's the key component. Okay, Carl Rogers. This guy's amazing. We think we listen, but very rarely do we listen with real understanding, true empathy. Yet listening of this very special kind is one of the most potent forces of change that I know. That's amazing. Because basically he says exactly what I say every single day on the golf course. And I commit to listening, and that's a key. Boundaries, okay? Boundaries are basically what each student set. And so when a student comes to me for a golf lesson, they don't say, these are my boundaries, you can't do this, you can't do that. Even husbands and wives. No, I have to listen, and I have to I have to read their communication, their body language, their eye contact right away. How many minutes do you think I have to lose someone when I first meet them?
5.
5 minutes? Any other?
1.
Lower. He's right. Of course, you're the boss, so you know. The boss always knows. Almost 30 seconds. 30 seconds to a minute. People have already read you, and they've already took a position. So you have to do what President Clinton did to me and disarm you before he even walk up to you. I remember the Secret Service took me to the first tee, and I thought I was nervous. But the moment the president turned around, I was like 20 feet from him, he was like, hey, Derrick. I said, oh, hey, Bill. But I said, hey, Mr. President. But it was like, within 2 minutes, it was like I was talking to my Uncle Bill. Yeah, very personal guy, very nice, disarmed me. I never knew that I was with the most powerful person in the world. Almost saw a guy get capped, though. I was at the golf course, and one of the homeowners ran across the street trying to take a picture. And the Secret Service says, hey, get back over there. And they reached in his pocket, and I'm standing to another Secret Service agent, right? And it's summertime. He has this big jacket on, and he's standing with the flag, right? Secret Service agents were 4 caddies. He's standing with the flag, and I'm standing next to him, and we're watching this guy come and try to get a picture. And I'm looking at him and saying, oh, hell, we're going to see someone get capped. And he goes, but I think because he was hot. But boundaries But boundaries are what my students establish. And I have a couple students that are teenagers, they're girls, and I'll pat them on the head, and they go, "Don't touch me." I say, "Okay, now keep your head still." Something like that, right? But I understand the boundaries, and I respect that. And so that's key to communication, right? So, and a lot of the analogies and kind of advice that I give to everyone here applies to the business place, work, school, home, wherever you have communication. Focus and learning to mentally reset. Very quickly, when I was starting teaching, I was bored out of my gourd, and I asked them, a lot of old ladies. I was just a nice little young guy, so they wanted. I didn't have on my jerry curl, but they were hanging out with me. And so I had to learn how to mentally reset and how to focus. And so what the mental reset is that I learned a trick, is that whenever I was bored out of my gourd, and I remember doing a lesson and standing there and kind of dozing off, but people, especially Miss Johnson, she'd take like 5 minutes to hit. She'd go. So I'd be going like, "Oh, Jesus." And then I close my eyes and kind of doze off, and then I hear the ball click, and I go, "Oh, nice shot, Miss Johnson." So I was going to myself, "Oh, Jesus, how are you going to fix this?" You know what I did? Is that I started to treat every lesson as if it was a blank canvas. So that meant every lesson that came to me, I had no roadmap, there was no preset structure, it was new. And I started to do that and reset mentally every new golf lesson. It was an amazing experience and transformation into how I approach teaching. And so that was amazing in itself. And so when I learned how to mentally reset and focus, my little petri dish of golf teaching became very fun. And I couldn't wait for the next person to come so that so they can teach me something. And so that's how I looked at golf lessons from then on. Empathy. How can I say this? You get people, strangers basically, coming every day. And how do you show empathy to strangers that you don't even know? So where I learned empathy, though, was from my Groundhog Day. And this is a true story. When I was in college, okay, so why do I call it my Groundhog Day? Because this is reoccurring. And this is a reoccurring event in my life. So when I was in college, I was traveling between college. I lived in Michigan. And I went to school at Jackson State University and University of New Orleans on a golf scholarship. And so one week, I was traveling back and forth on a holiday. I took the Greyhound bus, and I'm in Chicago. And this is where I learned empathy, and I'm still learning it. I sit at McDonald's. We have a break, and I'm sitting at McDonald's. And a kid comes and sits in my stall out of nowhere. And the kid says, hey, mister, can you buy me something to eat? Now, I'm not sure if you guys know Chicago, but downtown is a very busy place. Probably not a safe place for a little 6-year-old to ask strangers for something to eat. My first reaction to this kid was, hey, where are your parents? And why are you out here asking strangers for something to eat? I go, it's dangerous. So you would think that was out of concern, right, for the kid's safety. So I go, no, where are your parents? So the kid gets up and walks away. At that moment, when he walks away, I realize that why am I judging why this kid is asking for something to eat? Just give him something to eat. There's a reason. So I go, Jesus. The kid gets up, I think for 30 seconds, and I run out looking for him, and I couldn't find him. I ran up and down the street in downtown Chicago looking for this little 6-year-old kid because I realized I made a mistake. I thought my principles were high, but my heart was in the wrong place in my head. So that has haunted me to this day. And that was like 30 years ago that incident happened. So 5 years later, I'm in LA. And a homeless guy is at the golf course. And I notice that he's barefooted. And I say to myself, why is this guy barefooted? So I stop him and say, where are your shoes? He said, I don't have any. So I go, So I go back to my stall to teach. Again, I realize, what am I thinking? I go running after this guy, and I gave him the shoes off my feet. And I wore my golf shoes the rest of the day. And then at home, I remember when my wife had to say, where are your shoes? I go, yeah, I just lost them. I didn't tell her what happened, but I gave the homeless guy my shoes. He communicated to me that he needed that, so I gave it to him. Do I learn my lesson? No. I'm at McDonald's 2 weeks ago, and I walk out of McDonald's, and it's early in the morning, and I have a McMuffin sandwich. There's this guy sitting at McDonald's out in front of the door, and he wants to ask me something, but I'm sleepy. I'm just haven't had coffee. I get in my car and realize that he's communicating something to me. He wanted to ask me, he's hungry, but life just gets in the way. We don't listen to those, we don't see those signals. I look up I say to myself, I can go buy another sandwich for $5. And so I reached in to go give it to him. He was gone. Gone. I get out of my car. I look around the corner. He's not down the street. He's not in the McDonald's. He all of a sudden disappears. It's like a little angel sitting there and saying, hey, we're going to test you today. I go like, oh, my God. A week later, I leave the golf course, and I go get fast food at a restaurant. So, and there's this guy, 2 guys are talking, one's behind me. A guy just out of random, he's like, hey, can you buy me dinner? And I go like, okay. And I buy this guy dinner. So the moral of that story is that people are always communicating to us, and we're not going to be perfect. No one is. But you always want to strive to always have your blinkers on to look, to understand basically what people are communicating to you and to be responsive to those communicated needs. Because we just overlook them. That's just life. So, and I can't believe even after that little kid that I'm still learning those lessons. I don't miss them all, but the ones I do miss, I remember them the most in the morning. Okay, now, how do you measure success? Okay, we're almost done. Oh, I didn't put the other books. Is this more difficult or easier?
Easier.
Thank you. You guys are like, I don't know, must be sleepy. Okay. Everyone said, let's go, kick it out of here. Okay, so we're almost done. 2 more slides. How do you measure success? You know how I measure success? Did I communicate properly or the correct way or efficiently? Okay, I'm giving a golf lesson, and I got 2 kids, Johnny and Billy. So Billy's hitting, and I'm standing here. And he's hitting, and he's saying, and he goes, and he's hitting the ball over there, and he's going, hey, he goes, Derrick, he goes, I'm having so much fun. He says, I love golf. And him and his friend have taken 4 lessons, and his friend's in the other stall next to him. and I'm giving both of them a golf lesson at the same time. He said, I'm having so much fun. Golf is, oh man, Jesus. He says, and he goes, then he looks up at me and says, what do you do for a living? And I go like, I teach. He said, you teach? He goes, I go, yeah, I teach golf. He goes, you teach golf? And he goes, you teach golf? And I go, yeah, I'm a golf teacher. He goes, geez. He goes, Johnny, Derrick teaches golf. So Johnny comes over and he goes, Derrick teaches golf? And they're talking to each other. He said, yeah, Derrick. He goes, I want to be a golf pro. And he said, oh, because this is so much fun. Johnny, and he said, Johnny, what do you want to be? Johnny goes, I want to be a couch potato. And I said, oh man, that's so funny. But only from the mouths of babes, right? I was teaching this kid for 4 weeks, and he didn't even think I was a golf pro. That's a measure of success. I told the story to his mom. She just fell out. She's just hilarious. And so that's amazing. Okay. Now I can say we're done. Just like I gave my granddaughter her first golf lesson, and the look on her face says, I'm done. And this is the end. I want to thank you guys very much, but you guys have been an amazing audience. Thank you very much for your patience, but I want to do just one success here. Jesus. Okay, so this is easier, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to go straight. Don't get 3 because you don't get 3 chances in golf, right? Okay. Okay, we'll stay 1. So basically what I want to do is, I've never done this before in my life. I want to chip it over the basket in the hole. Typically, I would put another basket there, but since you guys have been such a good audience, I don't know. Whoa! Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome.